Welcome to PM Express Business Edition. It has been rising like nobody's business. Well, I'm talking about prices of goods and services on the market. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, inflation rate has hit a 13-year high to reach 19.4%. But what is really driving these prices, and what can be done to save the situation? How do we get out there to deal with this challenge? Well, I'll be engaging agri workers, those who sell these foodstuffs and commodities out there, and also an analyst, asking whether there are any solutions to this challenge out there. All these issues wrapped up on PM Express Business Edition as we look at soaring food prices. Are there any solutions? As I engage with Karwe, he's the General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, and also be engaging Dr. Joseph Obeng, he's President of the Ghana Union of Traders Guta, and Francis Dansoje, his Content Manager at Isoko. We're back after this break. Well, I don't know whether you've been going to the market now these days or the shops. Any day that you go there, you get a different price out there. But what is causing this hike, and how can we get around this? I mean, when it comes to the food prices and the items. So we've been engaging an analyst, Mr. Danso, he is with the Soko, and they have been monitoring prices on the market. Mr. Karwe is with the General Agricultural Workers Union, and going to tell us why are they not working? Are they on strike? Or maybe they are still relaxing? And also the General Traders Union, Dr. Joseph Obeng, are they just taking advantage of the situation to hike prices like nobody's business? Well, all these issues wrapped up on PM Express Business Edition. I said engage my guests in studio and also on Zoom to find out what is happening. And gentlemen, I appreciate your time so much. Thursday night on Holy Thursday is not an easy time. I know you want to be spending with your family, but you decided to have time with us, and I appreciate it so much. And Mr. Karwe, how have you been doing?
It has been a very difficult period for us as people, as a union, as workers, as farmers. And we don't want to see people not being able to feed themselves as farmers. And because we are also consumers ourselves, you know, what happens to our colleagues is not a pleasant thing for us because we also go through it. Yeah.
Doc, I mean, how are you doing? I mean, there are some who made certain comments like traders are taking advantage of the situation and they are hiking their prices like nobody's business, some commodities, electronic appliances and everything. Is that a situation?
No, it can be true.
Is that not the situation?
No.
Why?
No, we can't be that selfish. We are serving a nation and we are serving our clients. And like my brother said, that much as we sell our products, we are also consumers of other products. So when we do that, who are we hurting? We are hurting ourselves. So it's never true. The truth of the matter is that the component the factors of costing is so clear for all of us to see. And if it is there, then no one will bypass it, or nobody will set out himself that prices are going up and for the Christmas we have to reduce the price so that I will incur losses. Let's look at the world commodity prices that have soared because of the effect of the COVID. These things are global effects, and nobody can do anything about it because there were challenges in logistics and all that. People having been laid down, people locked down, making it impossible for people to produce the raw materials. So the raw materials, most of them, prices have gone up, sometimes over 200%. And so the price that we used to buy have changed and gone up. Shipping, cost, that's freight charges, have also gone up to the roof. What was being charged 3,000, that's the 40-footer container, now being charged for about 15,000. Now it has come down to about 11 to 12,000. It means a lot. It's somebody's capital itself, the cost of the container alone. So if you put this together, and now the exchange rate, look at it.
But some would say the air has been fairly stable, and let me use my...
Yeah.
And so we are expecting
but
that...
where are we coming from? You are talking about prices now.
Yeah.
So first December, the dollar was 6.4.
Yeah.
And now it went up.
It went to
8.450,
yeah.
and now it has come around 7.7, 7.8.
Yeah.
So you cannot say that is the same as the 6.4. I believe you are making comparison.
Yeah.
And so if we use December even for our for comparison, then you know that the rate of depreciation is about 16%, even on the depreciation of the cedi alone. And the question that we said that people are deliberately doing that, we are not in a monopolistic state now. Nobody can overprice him or herself out of competition. It's never possible. Look at the competition out there. Look at the shops
that is not what
clustered.
consumers, because I talked about the exchange rate development, because if we are seeing some marginal stability, and I choose my words carefully, I shouldn't be expecting that every time that I go to the market, people are hiking their prices and linking it to the exchange rate.
No, it's not possible, because you are not the only person selling those goods. And we have been complaining that the expatriates here, people from Nigeria, other areas, China, you go and see China Mall and all that. We are competing with all these people. And then even in the market, among ourselves, we are also competing. You see about 2,000-3,000 people in a row selling the same commodity line. And then we are not in a monopolistic state. And then you say that I'm overpricing myself, and the customer, whatever it is, the customer will come and buy. It's not logical. The trends is what we are following. You see the duty prices have gone up because of the reversal of the benchmark. It has also affected pricing. The duty has again gone up because we use the dollar to benchmark, to index the duty charges. And so these are the factors, of course, and it's there for you to see. So it's not something that somebody would do it deliberately. In any case, the consuming power, the purchasing power of the consumer is also limited. Yes. Because when prices of...
And all your members care about this when they are pricing their goods.
Oh, definitely. But you don't have any option. You see, at this time, what any prudent person would have done is to hold up your stocks. You don't even sell. Because you are confused. If you sell, the next time the price is going to go up, and then you lose your capital. But then, how do you keep your stock so that your stock appreciates by itself, by not selling? Because maybe your capital is also a borrowed one. Yeah. If your capital is a borrowed one, it means that you'll be going to pay interest rate. And so, look here, the price have gone up. And then the purchasing power of the consumer is also limited because of the price. So if the person have to buy about 10 pieces of a product, now you will only able to buy about 6. It affects your turnover. So you are in a very confused state. If your turnover goes down, do you know what it means? It means that you are not able to service your supplier's credit. You know, we get credit abroad. You will not be able to service it. And if your capital is also borrowed locally, it means that you cannot even pay the interest rate. And so how can somebody deliberately increase price? It's never true.
Let me quite some debate. I mean, fine. I mean, these are concerns out on the market.
In any case, the consumer has the right to choose.
Okay.
And so if you have about several thousands, so do you think the 1,000 or 5,000 people in the row selling the same commodity line, they will go for a meeting and say, definitely there will be price differences. And so the consumer have the right to search through. The only thing is that we are not in normal times. The effect of the COVID is such that it has pushed prices up globally, for which I do not have control. Not even the government can have control over it.
Doc, in some countries, certain things have been done, and I'll come back to you to see what can be done on government. But let me bring in Mr. Cairo as well, and agric farmers. And when you listen to the Ghana Statistical Service in their analysis, they attribute food as being the major driver of the hike in inflation. And I asked myself, we first started hearing about fertilizer, COVID, and now Russia, Ukraine, and all the rest. On the ground, what are your members and the workers telling you? Are they not producing enough, or what?
Well, George, before I get there, I just want to
add up to
this. You see, the argument of Dr. Ben is at the micro level. When you look at the retailers, they do not have, they can't create a monopoly.
I see.
Because when you go into the market, and as he says, you see them line up, they are not the people who create a monopoly. But we are talking about importation. There are a few, cartel, smaller groups that actually control the total imports into this country. If you take the rice, for instance, you can count the major importers of rice into this country. There are those who are the monopolies, and when they come and they say this is the value of the price and taking advantage of the global dynamics, then of course the retailers simply have to kowtow to what the major importer has done. So for Mr. Obeng and his group, that is the retailers, they cannot create the monopoly. Having said that, we continue to produce, but we produce under very challenging circumstances. For instance, you can see that last year, we hardly had fertilizer at the time that it was most needed. And the ministry itself came out, that is the state institution that is vested with the responsibility of making sure that the subsidized fertilizer gets to the farmers, came out to say, look, we have acknowledged that there was a shortage of the fertilizer, but it was due to government's inability to pay for previous supplies. And they even went further to explain that those suppliers had to borrow money from the banks to purchase the fertilizer from outside to supply it, and that they were servicing those loans at high interest. So because of that, those suppliers refused to continue to give further fertilizer to the ministry under the Plan for Food and Jobs. By the time the ministry got the fertilizer, it was too late to apply the fertilizer on the farms. And when you even do, the yield will be low, because agriculture is also one that requires timeous application of fertilizer. And we missed it. Again, the ministry came out to say that there was so much smuggling of the fertilizer. Granted that was true, it even went further to say, look, there was an innovative way of smuggling the fertilizer. Now, donkeys carrying the fertilizer, unaided by human beings, across the borders. And they could not do anything because there were no human beings. That was so much annoying, and it was an admission that the state, and in this case, not the ministry alone, but the state had failed to control smuggling. And that effect means that no matter how much fertilizer the state had imported and intended to distribute to farmers, it never got to the farmers. All was smuggled, or much of it was smuggled. And let me tell you, practically, when we were on the ground, a vehicle full of fertilizer, 2 or 3, will arrive in a district. The farmers will rush there to buy, and then they will say, please wait, we will distribute it to you later on. By the following morning, you wake up and those vehicles are not there. Where did they go to? Where did they go to? So the smuggling was huge. Apart from that, there was also natural factors.
Okay.
Some of them sweeping away roads and even farms, particularly in the Upper West region. All that contributed to the low output that we're expecting at the end of 2021. And we said there was going to be a low output in agricultural production. But the ministry disagreed with us. They even went further to say that there was going to be a bumper harvest. I'm expecting them to come and tell us where did the bumper harvest go? So what we are experiencing today is an indication that we had low output in 2021 because the rice we are eating today, if it's locally rice, is not the one that has been produced in 2022.
Now, a bird whispered into my ear. I mean, Mr. Caraway. Now I'll come to Doc as well. He was saying that, George, listen, if you thought last year was bad, if you're unable to address the fertilizer issue this year, and because it's the planting season, we should expect the worst next year. What are you picking also on the gun in terms of us having a good rainfall pattern and some good fertilizer application? Otherwise, next year could be terrible for us.
You see, output is influenced by two factors, two major factors. One, policy, and the other one, natural factors. Because our agriculture is still largely naturally driven, area of activity. Because we depend on the rainfall, which we don't have control. There could be drought, there could be flood, there could be any other thing. So those natural factors are there. But then let's look at the area that we are comfortable, that is policy. If you look at the policy of the ministry as we talk now, it's already indicating that they have planned through their policy for a low output at the end of 2022. One, the ministry on its own, without even consultations with those who are beneficiaries of the subsidy, you see, decided that we are going to reduce the subsidy, which is not even 50%, because they told us that it was 50%. As of last year, it was 36, 38%. Now, on their own, they have reduced it to 15%. And then, apart from that, the ministry is telling us that this year's subsidized fertilizer, the quantity will be not more than 50% of what was supplied last year. So it means that they are scaling down first on price, the subsidy level to 15%, then second, the quantity as against previous year. Then the third one has to now do with the fact that these external factors are confronting us. So if today, this is your policy, one, because of the general cost of production, farmers will cut down their total acreage that they will farm this year because land preparation cost is there, transport cost is there, labor cost is there, pesticides cost is there, which have all ballooned. So farmers are constrained. So they will do what? First, cut down the number of acreage, and then two, because there's going to be low fertilizer application as a result of the inability of the farmer to be able to purchase the number of bags that he used to buy, because the subsidy has come down and because price of the fertilizer itself has even gone up about double. All this put together means that there's going to be low yield, and then aggregate will be that low output for 2020.
That bird that whispered into my ear about these challenges, if not addressed, we could be out for some shortage next year as well. All other things being equal can happen.
The shortage will begin this year, and next year this time, when we will be consuming the food that has been produced in 2022, it will be less, and prices will shoot up the more. And again, let us know, if nobody, and I believe many, did not expect that the Russia-Ukraine war would have lasted to this time.
Just 1 week.
Yeah, 1 week it would have been over. But today we are still in it. Again, look at where Russia and Ukraine are, far away from us. Yet within 1 month, from February to March, what did we see? Even inflation has gone up so high. So if the war, let's take it even terminates today, it ceases today, the full impact of the Russia-Ukraine war will continue to manifest. And we just don't know when that is going to end. But what we are sure about is that it's not going to end today.
So I get from you that it's a mix of external policy issues as well that is contributing to this challenge.
No, for this year, what we are to expect, external challenge will also be dominant, will be prominent. But as at last year, it wasn't. But so apart from the natural factors, as well as the policy factor, which I've outlined, we now have another factor, which we have no control. That is the external factor, which is coming from the Russia-Ukraine war. So this year, I just can conclude that output is going too low.
And that could be the shortage that we should expect next year.
Next year, it will be more terrible than it is now.
Doc, when you hear this in as traders, I mean, yes, does it get you worried, and does it again expose the state of helplessness that you find yourself? Because the accusation was that the traders themselves are complicit. But listen, this is the real challenge out there.
Yeah, I'm very worried because even in this situation that we find ourselves, that this is the opportune time for us to have concentrated on the local productivity, especially regarding food items, so that, what they were talking about the benchmark, they said that import is cheaper. So if by the global effect and all that, imports have been expensive, like we are all saying, that expensive, then the local produce would have taken advantage to come in to edge the importation out. So if we do not concentrate on local productivity, taking the chance, because in any bad effect, there's positivity there. So this is the time for us to showcase our local produce and make every conscious effort to say, because we don't have any business sitting here to say that because of a war in Ukraine, food shortage is in Ghana. I can't.
But several World Bank, IMF, and several global institutions have spoken about how this is impacting on food production everywhere, not just Ghana alone.
No, how?
You don't.
No, we can produce here. Unless, what are we tied up with Ukraine that we can produce here?
Yeah.
Apart from the surge in the oil price, which is also global, and people are producing. So we take advantage, because what is mitigating against importation far outweighs that of the local production. Apart from fertilizer, cost of fertilizer, we have to bear with the duty, we have to bear with the exchange rate, we have to, where commodity prices itself having gone up. So all these factors are against importation. Then the local productivity is here, taking its advantage and edge us out. This is what we have been crying for, that we consume local produce and all that. Where is it? What are we doing? This is the challenge. So that's the pain. Anything that we should do to boost and whip up local production is now.
It's now.
It's now.
Let me bring in Mr. Danso. He's content manager at Isoko. I mean, this is an institution that always scan across all the markets in the country. And let me get from him, what has he been picking? When he goes onto the market, his men go onto the market to try and gauge the picture out there and what can be done. Thank you, Mr. Danso, for joining us on PM Express Business Edition. So tell me, Mr. Danso, Isoko, what have you picked up over the last 3 months in terms of prices of these goods and foodstuffs, and what is really driving it? Mr. Danso, if you can please unmute, I'll be so grateful, Mr. Danso.
Yes, thank you. When you go onto the market and then you conduct a survey, you realize that for 2022, the first quarter of the year, prices have been on the increase. And when you compare with the previous year, we are looking at an average of between 60 and 80% for most of the commodities that are on the market.
What is driving this price hike? There's been argument about supply challenges and not demand. From your end, is it that the farm gates, they don't have enough food to supply, or what is the problem?
So in Ghana, when farmers produce, most of the time, within 2 months, it leaves their hands and then goes into the hands of other stakeholders within the value chain. And so it is the stakeholders that supply the market as and when consumers need the goods. But you realize that in 2021, there were some challenges. And so following from that and moving on into 2022, these challenges have continued. And we've also experienced some transportation increases, which has caused commodity prices to rise. Because traders are always rational and they will always want to make sure that they benefit from whatever activities that they are engaging in.
I see. And what is the outlook telling you that in terms of the way things are going, you should still expect further hikes on the market, or things could be slowing down for us soon?
So we enter into the harvesting season, because when you check the cycle every year, around this period, there should have been indications that prices are coming down, because we want to do away with whatever stock that we had and prepare for the new one. But that is not the case now. So it means that until somewhere in August, September, we should not expect commodity prices to come down.
That is interesting. And does it feed into shortage security issues, or what? Because if even in the planting or in the harvest season, prices are not going to come down, it means that the worst is not over.
No, in the period in which we are, we do not expect prices to come down. In terms of shortage, what I would say is that there are substitutes for a lot of the things that we want to consume in the country. And so depending on where you are, you can find substitutes and then make do with it until you get your favorite commodity that you want to depend on. And so we should rather look for substitutes for a lot of the things that we want to consume to make sure that we can sustain ourselves till we enter into the harvesting period, where we get new commodities coming in to support.
Mr. Danso, I'll ask my guest in studio this question, but I also want to get your thought. I mean, there is always what we are being told, and also what the real situation is on the ground. From your end, again, you are into research and all the rest. How has import supply issues contributed to these local price hikes, i.e., Russia, Ukraine issue, and all the rest, and COVID? Is there really a link at the local level in terms of these global developments and it feeding into local prices?
So, any time that you have one good or the other in short supply, it puts pressure on the others. And so let's say that consumers would have gone for imported rice, but now the prices of imported rice are going up. They will switch on to other goods and put pressure there. Traders, knowing that, will also then increase the prices just to make sure that they are able to supply. And so, yes, it is putting pressure on other commodities that hitherto would have had stable prices by now. But we are seeing that if you scan the market, almost every good that we have on the market is increasing. And so, yes, it is having an impact on what we are paying for the goods that we are consuming now.
Mr. Danso, before I let you go, again, for you, what should be the immediate policy options? And just like what is said in the past in political science or political campaigning in those days, self-government now, what should be the immediate, in the next 2 months, 3 months, what should be done in terms of policy options to try and manage the situation?
Yes, I will want to agree with the panelists that if we have anything to do, it is now, because now we are beginning to produce. But when you look at all the signals in terms of rainfall pattern, fertilizer and all that, it suggests that if we do not do anything about it, we are going to be in trouble come the end of the season. And so whatever policy, whatever thing that we need to do to make sure that producers have what it what they need to produce, we will need to make it now and ensure that it gets into their hands, because we depend on nature. Once this time passes, it is going to be difficult to get back the time that has been lost and to make good what we need to. So whatever needs to be done in terms of fertilizer, seeds and everything, it has to be done now. If it means that we will need to release money and all that in terms of making sure that they have access to finance and all that, it has to be done now. So whatever decisions that will have to be made now to make sure that we do not endanger our production, so that we can, at the end of the production period, reap what we invested into.
Mr. Danso is content manager at Soaring. I appreciate your time so much. Doc, it appears that everybody is singing the same song. Yeah. From the trader's perspective as well, what do you want government also to do for you so that at least when those reliefs are applied, you can pass it on to us?
Yeah. You realize that the base rates have gone up, means that the
cost of credit,
because the banks are going to respond.
And inflation has gone up again. Exactly. BOG could hike rates again at their next meeting in May.
Don't also forget that China is still not out
lockdown,
of COVID and all that. Yeah. So the impact of the global effect of the COVID is still very real with this. And so we have to look from within, and the little that we can do, especially when we have to concentrate on stabilizing the CD. When we are able to do that, it will calm down things, because the rippling effect.
Do you see the CD stabilization as a main focus for you guys?
The difference is too much from December
6.4
to 7.8. The gap is so much, and it's having effect on the duties also, especially when duties have already been increased by the reversal of the benchmark to 30% and 10%. It means that duties will be high, and this will trickle down to prices. So definitely this will be done. But I want to correct one impression that the two speakers were, that traders take advantage. It's very worrying.
Maybe the word is the advantage, but every rational trader, every rational trader would want to pass on the cost to consumer because not for the Christmas.
Definitely.
So that's a
you have to pass on that. Do I have to consume all these causes of price hike to myself so that I run into bankruptcy?
Let's do burden sharing, Doc.
Yes, we do it.
That is
to the extent that because the prices are not going up proportionately, like the increases that we are suffering, it's not going. It's not proportional. Let me tell you, and especially when we are selling food commodities that are perishable, any rational being will not do that. You can't hate your own self that you overprice those things and then the goods espouse. It's not fair. When people, because we've been able to contain prices, we've been able to serve our customers. If you look at the rates of the price hikes internationally and all that, and we are able to just manage it, and we did not go proportionally, people should applaud the efforts of the trading.
I'll come back to Mr. Caro. Yeah. You've heard Mr. Danso, and he's singing the same song. It looks like at the end of the day, the buck stops with policy as well, because it appears that if we don't act fast and act soon, danger is ahead. It's not about being a prophet of doom. That is the reality on the ground.
That is what I've already indicated. As we sit, look at the policy of the government regarding agriculture. What we are hearing is that you have reduced the subsidy. Why do you, in the first place, grant subsidy? It is to solve the problem of the inability of the farmer to be able to buy the number of fertilizers you think that is good to increase productivity. That's why you subsidize. Otherwise, what is the subsidy? Now, when the price of fertilizer has gone up and general cost of production has gone up, why do you then sit down and scale down your subsidy to 15%? What message are you giving out? You are saying that they should buy less fertilizer and apply on the farms. You are saying that they should cut down the number of acreage that they have to use. Look, I think Danso was even more charitable to say that prices will come down during, no.
I mean, when he qualifies said that he doesn't see things stabilize anytime soon.
That's what I'm saying. It's charitable to say that. Because if you look at the trend, what we are going to see is that, one, prices are not going to go down.
Wow.
No?
Really?
Why will they go down? They can't go down, and prices will not go down from even up to harvesting. What could happen to prices that they could just stabilize, but they will not come down because it's not only one, output is going to be low. Output this year.
Can't anything be done to motivate and turn the tide?
Very good.
Now?
What we need to do is, when they say Ghana is poor, I say no. It's just about choices.
Yeah.
Where do we want to put our money in? We should say that in these difficult times, we select some strategic sectors of the economy and, pump the money there. Now you are taking out money from agriculture. I know this concept
there's cuts everywhere.
And there's
the cut is everywhere.
This concept,
austerity, cutting down expenditure.
Yes, there must be austerity. And when there's austerity, you cut down. But you don't cut down everything. Look, it is a wrong policy, analysis and implementation to cut uniformly across.
Some sectors should be.
Even some sectors would even have to receive more
like agriculture
budget. And agriculture is supposed to get more budget. But what we are also worried is that you just don't put in more budget to agriculture without ensuring that the leakages are there, which are there are plugged. For instance, why should we be encouraging government to put in more money into agriculture when you allow that fertilizer to be smuggled out? So government must put more money into agriculture for production, but must ensure that that fertilizer gets to the target group.
Should we allow every farmer to be given soft credit and go to the open market and buy rather?
Well,
maybe that could be the better.
One of the things is this. Money has many uses. So if you give money to people, you cannot monitor them that they will spend all the money on the inputs. But when you give them inputs, even though some will be there, they will still manage to divert some of them for other purpose or sell it one bag or so for other purpose. A large proportion of the fertilizer will actually go to where it is. And then you have to monitor. It's not enough when we hear government come to say that, 180 tons of fertilizer have been supplied. To who? Have you made sure that that fertilizer got to who you want the fertilizer to get to? That's one. Two, have you made sure that the farmer who has taken that fertilizer has actually applied it the way it should be? We are not doing those things. And yet we think that, it's just enough to come out and say that we have supplied so much fertilizer into agriculture. We don't know where the fertilizer gets to. Now we have admitted that the fertilizer does not even get to the farmers because it's smuggled out. And how long can Ghana continue to do this? Where is our resources for us to import and supply the rest of the sub-region? So you see, we can do something. And this is time. And this is what Dr. Bin is saying, that, look, this situation is an opportunity for us to sit together and make sure that we don't run into this problem. Ministry is talking about something which we have already talked about. Now they are saying that, look, we now have to concentrate on the manufacture of what? Production of what? Organic fertilizer. This is what we had wanted government to do, and we even told them to do that.
Were your farmers applying that? Did they want it? Some are saying that they were still open for the imported ones.
Why not?
Because it's easy to apply and it's fast and it's quick.
Who brought about the subsidy? Is it not government? When you subsidize, you need to, policy gives direction. And all of us as rational beings will give direction. And that is what Obin is talking all along. If government duties go up and the rest, do you expect the importer to import and come and sell below that? No. So these are all policies. What we wanted government to do is give, for instance, if the price of organic fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, is say 50 Ghana cedis, you can say the same quantity of organic fertilizer, please, we'll give it to you at 25 cedis. Now you are encouraging the farmer. When you have 50 Ghana cedis, instead of buying one bag of chemical fertilizer, you now have what? 2 bags of organic fertilizer. Then, as they continue to apply it, they'll become used to it, you see, or they'll combine with the chemical fertilizer, and over time, you increase the subsidy for the organic fertilizer, and it will drive them there. The government-owned policy was feeding the chemical fertilizer because they wanted output immediately so that they could use the figures to claim credit. And yes, you claim the credit, but you pay dearly for it.
What happened to planting for food and jobs?
That is what all of us should be asking the question.
Because what we get, the understand that, there's production.
You know, there's a verdict on the planting for food and jobs. And that verdict is what we are experiencing today. If planting for food and jobs had been successful, the way we are talking about, we are not saying the price will not go up around this time. In fact, naturally, this is the lean season. Prices will come up. But then, global developments would have also, through speculation and other things, could have also edged the prices up a little. But it's telling us that the output for 2021, where is it? What are the quantities? In fact, you know, we are already saying that we are restricting maize export.
Isn't that a good measure at this time?
No, not necessarily that it's not a good measure. But before you apply that measure, let us know what is the total output of maize in the country and what is our total demand for maize in the country. Now, when we see that output is high, but except that you are afraid, if you don't restrict it over a period, they will export all of it. Then you do that. But we don't even know the output of maize.
Let me come to Doc. And Doc, and I was asking you one thing, and I'll go for a break and we'll come back, about whether you want anything to be done for you from government's perspective so that it can impact on the pricing a little bit. Is it about the city? Is it about some of these levies or taxes? Or what does Guta want?
You know, already government is challenged in so many ways. And so for you to tell government to reduce the taxes that has already been introduced, then you know. But what we have to do is that let's say that we have an advantage. Importation is challenged. We have problems where global effects of imports and all that have made it possible that now we have to look from within. Because that's what we have been waiting for, that we have to industrialize. And so if the opportunity is here, this is what we are looking for, so that the importers and all that will come to this space, so that the Ghanaians will also benefit the value for money, the goods that is also produced here. So import is challenged. Now the industrialization drive of government is here. And so what are we waiting for? Because this challenge, the austerity measures and all that we are doing, we should factor agriculture into it. Because we need food before anything. So if you cannot produce food to eat, at least in times of problems, wars and all that, food is the most essential thing. We do not even mind electricity and all that. And so if you cannot produce now, so we have to add value to whatever thing that we are doing. We know that government is doing the 1D, 1F and all that, but we can also know that the speed is lowered and that we have to step up our game. The local producers have to step up their game so that they will be able to convince government. Because now the opportunity is here. They said that import is so cheap that they cannot produce. Now importation have become so expensive. So what are we taking from local produce? And this is what we want to support, the local productivity, so that we eventually veer towards patronizing local goods.
Let me take a break, Doc. Now we'll be getting back to my guest in studio about solutions on the way forward. This is PM Express Business Edition. Take a short break and be right back. Welcome to PM Express Business Edition as we look at soaring food prices and what are the solutions. And as you wrap up on this program, we're looking at the solutions and the way forward. And let me come to Mr. Karuwe. For you, what should be the solution now? Because it appears the outlook is not that good.
Well, I'm also happy that the government statistician, Professor Enim, has come out this time to tell us that within 1 month, inflation has gone up by what?
More than 3% or something.
More than 3%. That is 3.7%.
The biggest
Yeah.
hike in a long
From February to
time.
March, more than 3.7%. It tells us that, and all is because of the Russia-Ukraine war. This is a big signal to all of us that we have been over-depending on the external market. And that is no good for us. Now, do we know what will be the inflation rate at the end of April? We don't still know. If it is going to go at the same rate, then where are we getting to? 2, 3 months, 4 months' time. Where are we getting to? So this is a huge challenge, a good challenge. That is what Dr. Bin said. Now we should divert back to investing within. And I'm telling you that, you see, yes, there are scrupulous business people who would always take advantage. But we can't lump them together and think they are all bad. They are also nationals. They have nationalistic instincts in them. They import because they can't get it locally.
Exactly.
But if they can get it locally, they will not import.
Definitely.
And some of them are ready to divert their resources, their capital, into investing locally, if the policies are right. And this is what we are calling government that, look, even if in the past they thought it was rosy and there was no need to do what we are asking them to do, it has shown us that we must invest within. And in actual fact, look at where Ukraine is. Look at where Russia is. And yet we are almost getting the full impact of the war. What about those countries that are just sharing borders with Ukraine and the rest? It tells us that if they are not experiencing the effect as much as we are doing, it means there's something wrong with it. So we should concentrate on local production. We should concentrate first and foremost in agriculture. And government, the Minister for Finance, must come back and divert all the cuttings and the resources into agriculture.
Yeah, here,
Doctor,
here I will add here. I admire the finance minister for telling us in the face when we were arguing on the benchmark reduction. He told us, you guys, the only way out is industrialization, and that we have to look from within and manufacture so that we can consume our own produce. And so he came out with this industrialization committee. The main purpose for this industrialization committee is to migrate importers, the traders like us, into captains of industry. And this industrialization committee is ongoing. We will take this opportunity to plead with him that whatever resources available, the expertise that will bring to bear so that we can also fast track this migration. We are there for, like he was saying, that we have patriotic traders. Yes, the natural migration or graduation of trading, you start with a tabletop, get a shop, and then you start going to Lagos, then you go abroad, Dubai, Turkey, and all that. And then you see the volumes that we are trading have gone up, and then you migrate to manufacturing. That is the natural sequence. But then it truncated somewhere because of coup d'etat and then the fear that people... And this thing, now we have a stabilized this thing, political system, and that we have to go back to that migration, and we are ready for that. That's why we even said that we want to bring a policy for ourselves to export more, because trading is...
That is what you want to do.
It's two-way.
Okay.
That I don't have to only go and buy goods from China. It doesn't make sense as a trader. Okay. I should be able to take goods from here, goods that are manufactured here, send it to China, I sell it, and then the proceeds, I use it to buy goods, so I get to a double profit. That's what trading is. So we are ready to help industrialize this country. We are ready to patronize the goods that are made here, so that we shore up the forest here, and then it will be the benefit for all of us.
Dr. Bing and Mr. Carroll, time is not our best friend. I appreciate your time so much, spending your Thursday evening with us here to deliberate on issues on how to deal with the challenges facing our economy. It has been PM Express Business Edition. I know the debate will go on and maybe find ways to address this challenge. Have a great day.